Yo guys, it is Xanix Podcast here again today, and we are here with a guest, and his name is Olly. You can go check his link
Me.
out in the description. He does music. He's gonna be getting straight into it, but let's get into it. What are we talking about today, man?
About like drill music and the effect it has on like the younger generation and like everything surrounding drill music, to be honest.
Yeah, okay. Do you want to start off or me? It's up to you, man.
I don't mind. I
Alright,
could
you
start.
you go ahead, man. Go on.
Like, to be honest, you can see a huge impact like in drill these days with like the young generation and like the way that they're approaching their like behavior. Is that it? Like
Mhm.
approaching behavior, like
Yeah,
different
yeah,
attitude and shit.
yeah.
Like using slang, carrying like knives, doing drugs at like extremely young ages.
I said this before in the last one, but I personally think that if you're gonna do drugs, I would say 16 and above. In my opinion, like I'm not influencing you to do it, but that's my personal opinion.
Yeah, that's fair enough though, because like that's when your body is at a peak. It's like starting to slow down in like what's the word?
And it's sort of like you're a young
Slow
adult as well.
down.
You're a young adult as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But like
stuff
overall,
starts to.
but you see like little kids these days, like 13 taking MDMA, it's fucked. Like on
Like
another level.
like it's also a bit deep to think, because it's a bit like sad to think that like as soon as our generation's gone, it's going to be them, and the way that it's going, it's going to end up like World War III, but with kids just using knives and like fucking stabbing each other up just for a little bit of fucking street cred, which they're not even going to have.
Yeah, like you see everyone these days, like Manchester, even London, for example. You see from the ages of 13, I'm pretty sure it is, fucking kids walking around and saying they feel unsafe, so they carry a knife. But like, even if you're not going to use it, you get caught with that. That's life. Like, you actually can get life for that.
It's actually, can you? Because I thought it was only a couple of years, but
It depends.
still a
It
couple of years.
No, but I'm pretty sure. I'm not 100% certain. If you guys know what I mean, then you can tell me. But I'm pretty sure it depends on the sort of injury blade. But it's either way. Like I was in a shop the other day and we came out and it was almost like there was about to be someone stabbed just by pulling in front of someone.
Kids be glamorizing it on Snapchat, carrying like blades bigger than my bloody granddad used to cut his head, for fuck's sake, like in their trousers, like it's the same length as their leg.
It's fucked. It actually,
Stupid.
like I know I'm laughing about this, but it generally is fucked. Overall,
Don't like.
I personally think there should be some sort of training course. I guess, like if you're gonna use it, then you know, you know what I mean. You can't stop.
Well, no, because
No,
that
no,
doesn't make any sense. Training course on how to use a knife,
no,
but
no, 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 no,
it's
no, no.
illegal to carry.
Yeah, no. I mean, like a sort of what's it called, like therapy or some bollocks. Because if I'm honest, it's not easy. Like once you start carrying, then it's not fucking easy
Oh
to
yeah,
stop.
obviously.
So
Because it's like you've got something that can like absolutely destroy someone's life in a matter of seconds just from
yeah, but it's like
like.
once you start that, you feel like you can't. You literally won't leave the house without because you feel like you're not safe and you're not. You feel like you're gonna get fucking killed just without walking 4 steps out of your house. It's fucked.
Yeah, but then at the same time, it's kind of like come round because of drill music, because these gangs be like glamorizing like,
Yeah,
knife, money, girls,
yeah,
drugs,
yeah.
everything like that. And then so the kids they become like idols, and the kids just wanna like be like them, I suppose, these days, because they've got nothing better to look up to.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like
Um,
that is true. But overall, I personally think that they should be able to, like, in my opinion, yeah, drill is a type of genre of music, but I feel like they're slowly cutting down on it because it used to be, you could show knives, you could show guns and shit like that, but now you can't
yeah,
really
that's
show
very
that.
true.
But I personally feel like
And now,
I personally feel like there should be like an 18-year-old category on drill music and that sort of shit because it's sort of influencing young kids at the ages of 12. You know what I mean? It's fucked.
And it's also like they've been censoring like the gang, like the murders that they've been doing, like in the music. Like if you listen to it, it'll be like blah 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 zoom, and then like it will
Yeah,
carry on. Obviously, like, it just cuts out like their names and shit.
it-
But
it's
it never used
it's
to be like that.
it's more glorified as like this is how life should be and how kids should live. But in reality, kids, like you're a kid. Back in when you were like 12 or 13, like you used to sit there and watch something on social media or YouTube, and you would take it to heart, and like you would actually take that on board. Like, you know what I mean?
When I was like 12, I mean, it was a lot different when we were 12, even though we're not even that much older these days. But like a couple of years ago, it wasn't even about, was it? It was more like
More
you
like
go out, like
more
play
like
football,
let's play
go to the
Minecraft.
shop. Yeah, got to play Minecraft, go to the shops, like buy some sweets and like hang out. Now it's like, oh, do you want to go to the block, buy a gram of weed and just show each other knives?
Yeah, trust me.
Stupid, man.
Like you used to sit there, go buy a packet of
Stupid.
sweets for like 30p. You'd be banging. You know what I mean? Go back home, play
Sorted.
play
Mum gives you
Minecraft.
two
Let's go.
pound fifty,
Yeah,
and you go to the shop.
yeah.
Those are the days,
You
man.
know, man. But honestly, I personally feel like it's fucked. Like they generally should have like some sort of course, even for parents
Like,
as well.
yeah, like parents, because I'm sorry, but parents say they know what's going on in this like world, but in reality, they don't. I'm sorry.
They don't because
There's only a certain extent that they know what it gets up to, but then they can try and compare our generation to their generation, like, for instance, how it used to be in like colleges and shit compared to now. But
it's like secondary
I mean,
school. When you get into secondary school and you're I would say from like year 9 to 11, your parents, you
yeah,
basically, a lot of kids put on like a fake personality, fake what they're doing to their parents, but in reality they're sat there, smoking weed, getting absolutely fucked out their face every weekend. I know a guy that I'm not gonna name, but
and
he
some people,
he was
just,
I'm pretty sure he's Muslim. No offense to Muslims or anything.
yeah,
But like he used to
yeah,
sit
it's
there and
just
smoke weed every single day of the week, and his parents thought he was literally sitting there at school and then coming straight back home, but he was stoned every single day of the week. You know what I mean? It's like you sit there and you get to that age
it's
and you feel like
crazy,
you have to lie.
man. It's because how are you supposed to? You're not going to be able to explain that. And imagine how like your parents would feel if you was like, oh look. I mean, some would accept it because some used to do that back then as well,
Yeah,
back when they were young.
but
But at the same time, it's also like drugs these days as well. It's like you don't know what's going into them. It's so easy to fake a drug, like a pill. You get a presser and you could press any look of a pill.
yeah,
Like it's
yeah,
stupid. And
like
back in the day, it was all like pure.
yeah.
Like
But nowadays, you could sit there and buy anything, and you take it, and you could be dead within the next couple of hours because you don't actually know what's in it. It could be laced, like Coke,
hours.
for example. Like
Yeah,
you see so many people die from doing gear and stuff. It's just not good.
it's like the spice epidemic as well. I know
Mm.
somewhere near us, the weed that some dealer was selling was actually laced with spice, and it got kids really fucked,
Spice
like
fucks
fucked.
you
Like
up, yeah. Seriously.
they obviously became severely addicted. But then it's like also NOS,
Mm.
like
Oh yeah, them little canister things.
nitrous
Yeah,
oxide.
yeah,
You're not meant to inhale that shit. Like
yeah,
you can inhale the shit that the hospital gives you, but not the cream charges. That can paralyze you from
yeah.
just taking a
There,
couple. There's
I'm
been so many cases on
if
that.
if I'm correct, have you ever been TGI Fridays before, man? Like
They use it there. They
yeah,
use it
yeah, yeah,
bakers.
yeah. They use
Yeah,
it in like the cream machine thing, like this gun.
yeah.
Yeah, and I
Oh,
think I
sick
think
of
that's
that.
true. But like you sit there and you see it, and
And
you're just like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? It's just not
is it accessible?
consumable. It's not. It's so easy. Literally, you can go on Snapchat today, and within 10 minutes, you've already got drugs at your house. Like it's fucked.
You can get. And also, I was watching like this documentary the other day. Little
Yeah.
nerdy me, and it was on like drugs, knife crime, and all that. And then I looked, and then he ordered a knife online. He was like our age.
Mm.
They literally, the Amazon delivery driver didn't even ask for a signature, like or nothing. They just gave him the parcel. He went in, and he had a bloody 12-inch hunting knife, clearly used to like something like that
That
in
is
his hands.
that's
And that's
fucking
how
fucked.
easy it is these days. Like you can get anything that you want if you have money. Anything.
If you have the money,
You should.
and you don't even need to know people, if I'm honest. You sit there and you go on Snapchat, the amount of accounts that come up with plug, and I know some of them aren't legit, but some of them are. In some case, they used to be. But, like, overall, I personally feel like all these social media platforms should crack down. Like Instagram, for example, is promoted a lot on there. Fake accounts.
Oh yeah, I saw something like there was this other documentary that I've also watched, and it was like, they social media drug dealers, and they have like Instagram accounts where they're actually showing their like drugs, what they have for sale,
Yeah.
and then you contact their Snapchat, and then within like half an hour you meet them in a place and you'll have the drug. Like it's that easy.
It's like you might think that your area is clean and tidy, but deep down it's not. Like
Deep down, it's like a trap house.
There's nowhere in the UK that's safe. You know what I mean? You're gonna get it anywhere, as long as you try and avoid it in the path.
At the same time, it's hard once you get into it. Like kids, as we said before, it's easy. Kids get like, oh look, money, girls, anything they want, they can get.
Yeah.
But they've got to go through this one thing, and then they get into the gang loop and they can't get out. Like it's.
Yeah, no, trust me. Once you get in the gang loop, you physically cannot get out. Like there is a very, very, very fucking small chance you're getting out without, being out, like your family being threatened and so in some cases even killed. You know what I mean? And you might see that in movies, but it generally is true. Like seriously.
I know some cases where just because some kid said something to the wrong person, he got bricks thrown through every single one of his fucking windows in his house.
Yeah.
Like every.
Like this generation is brought up as in we can't fight, with our hands. It has to be with either a weapon or some sort of object,
It's like it's not even that either, is it really? Because it's like who you talk to.
Yeah.
Like even if you live in a fucking wrong area these days,
you say something to the wrong person, you're fucked. You actually are.
If you live in a different postcode, it's shit. Like you live in a different postcode, you go to another postcode, you talk to like one person, and they find out you're from that postcode, you're done. Yeah. And it's not even like it's because it's been so many kids in London and shit that just because they're like black, they get stabbed, and they were so innocent.
Yeah. But like this is what I mean, like you see, going back to the point of like parents don't know, but the amount of cases that have happened worldwide that the parents actually don't know what's gone on, but their child's been killed, and you're like, this is what I mean. Like parents act like they know stuff, but there should be like courses for awareness for parents to be able to go there and understand like a proper child's mind at this generation, because this generation is different to theirs.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Like these days, it's all about, showing off, showing off weapons, just showing off clothes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You've got a rack in your hands. You're cool. Like, you know what I mean? And people will look up to you like that, especially if you're like 13 years old. You'll look up to someone like that.
You've got a rack in your hand, some nice, let's say, boot-ons, for instance, a nice jumper. Everyone's over you, and that's why people are like, oh, this is the only way to make friends is by getting money, but I can't get a job. It's like too hard to get a job.
I totally get
like easy money.
I totally get some people that avoid jobs, because it doesn't pay well. It seriously doesn't. The minimum wage for a 16-year-old is £4.55.
It's £3. Is it £4.55?
Yeah, £4.55.
They're fucking down again. £3.80 or something.
And that's what I mean.
I know you get like a course out of that, but you're still technically working.
Yeah, it's not amazing, but you know what I mean. Like at the end of the day, that's why a lot of people put it off, and they're like, "Well, I'm doing like an 8-hour shift and only like, let's say 60 odd quid." Yeah, I totally get that, but this is what I mean. Like the government. If the government were able to offer like more money for people to work, it would potentially lower the death rate, and it would stop people if they was to leave.
It wouldn't completely stop.
No, it wouldn't. I would say it would lower, but like maybe 15%. But even then, that's a lot of people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that is quite a lot considering it's risen by about 40% in knife crime over
And the worst
past couple of years.
people, like, you see people from abroad say, "Oh my god, I really want to go to London." You want to go to London, yeah? You say hi to the wrong person, and you generally will be killed. Like, I'm not trying to joke here. Like, London isn't a nice place.
It's not. You say hi. It's not. It's not as deep as that because
No.
usually sometimes it's like gang on gang. Like you wouldn't get stabbed up for no apparent reason, but if you said the wrong thing,
Yeah,
or like
it depends though,
because
because
they take the littlest things to heart. Like what we'd think is like a little joke, like
little
a little
joke and
immature
banter.
joke. Yeah, they would think is fucking like hella serious, and then before you know it, you're on the floor bleeding out. Like,
and if I'm honest,
you don't know who's carrying what these days.
Honestly, you'll be
A
surprised.
hammer. If it's not a hammer, it's a fucking like baton.
It's something
Because,
something that's gonna go in and out of you real quick. You know what I mean?
Or just like severely damage you. Because at the end of the day, they've realised how much of a sentence they get for carrying knives and shit. So they carry hammers.
It's more like you get a point system when it comes to gang shit. Like, you sit there.
It's a scoreboard. That's what they're calling it.
Like, you sit there, you go around and stab someone, and you're like, it's like playing fucking Call of Duty. You know what I mean?
We've got by one. Like,
yeah,
and they gas it up.
I've ranked up. Like, they gas something up that's so horrific.
Shouldn't be laughing, but
they gas something up that's so horrific and awful. Like, in my opinion, if I had a son that had I found out he had a knife or was doing that shit, I generally would disown him. Because in my opinion, that's just not fair. Like, you know what I mean? Because then
seriously consider like sending or like getting him help and shit.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, I know it's fucking hard to get out of. I genuinely do.
It's not easy. Like, if in my opinion, there'd probably be a lot of people said I'd rather die than fucking anything. Rather than fucking get help.
And I can experience firsthand with this. It's jobs, as I said before. Like, I've applied for so many jobs, like, and none of them even bother applying. And as you said before, like the wage and all that, like shit that comes into it, like how hard you have to work. Whereas some kids see it like, oh look, I can go get an ounce for 120, could flip it for like, let's say for instance, it depends on the substance to be quite honest.
Yeah, that is true.
They can flip it like in 20 minutes. They can have like double the money that you would earn in like a month.
Yeah, like, it is true.
The job, it's stupid.
I know, trust me, like, you sit there and you think about it, like, what the fuck, but in reality, that's what it's going to be like. And if you think about it, once the old generation goes, not saying you're old, but, the younger generation, then we're fucked, like, we actually are. You see your parents, for example,
so, like,
once
our parents go, and it's like our kids, that's the generation that's, like, fucked.
And this is where some sort of government or something needs to happen within the next, I would say, 20 to 30 odd years that will actually have a massive impact on kids growing up.
Because they say they're trying to improve it and stuff, which I do get, but it's also a lot harder to do it because the police obviously have other shit to do, like resource-wise. They can't just be patrolling areas like constantly. Yeah. I know that's been happening a lot in my area. They've been patrolling.
Like one thing that would lower it and would actually increase some kids to get a job would be legalising weed. If you think about it logically, you used to legalise that, then weed would be like a piece of piss. You could buy it dirt cheap, even cheaper than it is now, and then the government would start getting a tax on that. So then they would earn money from that, and then the kids that actual shop... At
the same time, you're still not going to have to buy it at like 16, so there'll still be that in account.
But that would be importing.
Oh yeah,
that'd be importing.
It would lower sales, like.
Yeah. But still, like
the kids.
Kids would start getting jobs because they can't be able to get hold of weed that easily. I know a lot of Americans can.
But then they'll probably just move to other substances, and you know they probably would. Like they'll probably move to like harder drugs like crack, coke, heroin, God forbid. But then at the same time, you must think, like, if these kids actually did stabbing someone, how would they sleep at night? Like, I'm genuinely being serious.
Yeah.
Like, you've murdered someone, like son or daughter, whatever, and then you sleep at night, and they must care, but I suppose you grow immune to it.
You do. I'm guessing, like, after the first time, you must be absolutely hating your life, but then you just got to sort of build that wall of, like, you have no fucking emotions. You know what I mean?
We're too deep. Like literally, that's it. They're in too deep.
I personally feel like
But then,
there is not much we can do. Like the whole generation, we can't do much. You know what I mean?
I mean, like also our parents are saying, oh, it's just where they've been brought up. So for instance, they've been brought up on a council estate or something like that. And we all know that's not true because I know so many. Well, I used to know so many people that were actually good, like, or I knew of people that actually used to be so good, like got good grades and shit,
Yeah,
and then just from one slip up, they've ended up down the same road.
yeah.
So it's not even to be where you're from anymore. Like it's like what,
It sounds really
class and
rude.
everything.
Yeah, it sounds really rude. But in my opinion, me working on living in a council estate, like if I did, it would generally motivate me to get out there and be able to sit there and be like, all right, mum, well there's so and so, like give her money and stuff. That would motivate me to go. In my opinion, like I would want to
That's why
be.
they do it because they don't have enough money. So they're like, oh, this is easy money to help my mum out.
Yeah,
I could buy nice clothes and all that. And then they end up in that loop. And then they end up either fucking dead or in prison. Like
yeah,
that's
yeah.
just at it's the end of the
But
calls,
I
or
like,
just doing it for life. And then
yeah, like it
yeah,
depends. It can go so many ways when you start shooting. It really can. That's the risky thing. I
it's just
personally would suggest that none of you get into that if you are thinking of it. Honestly, it's not good at all.
go and get some like. It's not even like you can get anonymous help these days. Like
Yeah,
there's phone lines out there. There's
there's
like email
shit tons.
services.
If
There's
you're
all that. If you don't want to like be like noticed,
if you're
you
thinking
can
of
get
that,
anonymous help.
yeah, and like there's even shit like apprenticeships and shit that if you want something that you actually like, you know, uh, you can. There is so many apprenticeships. It's just a time of waiting. It's what
Yeah,
but when you're 16, you don't really get noticed. When you turn 17 and 18, you get noticed a lot frequently. That's the word,
like
frequently.
yeah, I suppose that's true. But then at the same time as well, like get yourself some like hobbies or something.
Yeah,
So you're not like
even if it means like going football every week, or going for a run, or
or
going to the
streaming
gym.
or like YouTube, anything like anything that you actually like find interesting. Just like try out a bunch of things that you find like then you'll find one thing eventually that you're actually interested in, like, and you
Tr-
can take that on board. It'll keep you out of trouble and shit, you know.
Like one thing that irritates me is when people say there is no hobby for them. There is so many fucking hobbies in the world. You could make your
There
own
is
hobby.
something to do,
That
but
you
it's
could,
like that for me. Like until I
yeah.
experimented,
Like
and
you
then to
can't
be honest,
doubt
I
it
still
until
don't really know.
you properly experimented it for a little while. You know what I mean? You can't sit there and just be like, all right, cool, that shit. You got to try it out for a little while and get your feel for it.
Like even if that means like don't go out and buy the equipment straight away. Like if there's a rental option, if you're so for instance like airsoft, like that's a hobby I used to be like deeply
Yeah.
involved in, which I did enjoy, but it's just a bit of a like a hassle for me to get to, and it's quite expensive. So
Mm.
like you can go there, test it out a couple times, get like a feel for it. If you
Yeah,
don't
cause
like it, you don't like it.
you can rent the equipment
Like
there just for the time you're there.
£5, I think my
Yeah,
place was for a gun and a mask and PVs.
that's decent though. But like you can do that with anything. Even these days, if you buy an equipment from a electronic store for to do YouTube or whatever, you can just return it within the first 30 days if you're not satisfied. It's like that with shit tons of stuff, IKEA, for example, they have a year's
Yeah,
guarantee.
if you don't like
You have a year's
yeah.
guarantee. If you don't like the product and you test it out for like half a year and you don't like it, you can return it. Although it's not amazing quality, but
Always I suggest to these days to anyone that wants to try stuff new, like don't invest all your money into it. So for us, you've only got like a certain, say like if you really need to buy equipment, go for like the budget option to an extent where it's still got decent like reviews and things, but at the same time it will do the job. And then if you really do enjoy it, it's like when people do like YouTube and music and all that, they buy all the equipment and then realize they don't like it, and then they've just wasted all that money because half the time you can't really send it back once you like open it or something. I know
hmm
some places are guaranteed, but it's not always like that, is it?
yeah, no, no. Honestly, I do get you. Like at the end of the day, shit happens. But like, you need to just find something that you want to do, if that makes sense.
Just like I'm still trying to find something I really enjoy, like
Hmm.
deep down. But it's just sort of about experimenting, really trying new things. Like.
I personally think we've cleaned that subject up. If I'm honest,
that's the
I feel like that's gonna be the end. I hope you guys enjoy. Make sure to comment down below. And it's me and Ollie, and we'll see you guys later. Peace out.